Self-Advocate, a self-guided curriculum. Welcome to Becoming a Self-Advocate. In this course, you will learn about disability terms, finding out about your disability and accommodation needs, finding careers of interest, learning laws and your legal rights, setting goals, and planning for school and work. When you are done, you will better know how to do well in school and work. Please click the button below to start the chapter.
Chapter 2, Disabilities and Accommodations. Re-enter your name below. Type your first name here and hit the Submit button. Welcome back. I'm Miss Jordan, your teacher and guide for this course. Let's go through this chapter together. Overview. In order to be a self-advocate, you must know what your disability is and be able to tell others what accommodations or changes need to be made in order to help you do well at school and work. Learning objectives. Number 1. Know about your disability and how it impacts your life. Number 2. Find accommodations, supports, and find people who can help with accommodations, supports. Number 3. Use self-advocacy to help you know your disability. Remember, you can always go back and look at the last chapter if you want to. What are some terms you should know in order to be a good self-advocate?
Disability-related terms. Click the tabs above to learn new terms. Accommodation. Accommodations are a change or added supports that help make school or work tasks easier and better for people with disabilities. Examples include spell checkers, recorders, and more time for finishing work. Assistive technology. Assistive technology tools help students and workers do things faster and better. Documentation. Documentation is the legal and medical paperwork you need to show that you have a disability, school reports, and paperwork that explains any accommodations you need. You need documentation to receive accommodations, changes, supports, and tools. You need to do well in school and work. Be sure you have copies and have a good way to give copies to others when needed. Common types of documentation include psychological report, educational evaluation, immunization records, or an individual education plan or IEP. IEP. IEP stands for Individualized Education Plan. The IEP is a roadmap for special education supports and services. Each IEP must be written for one student. Each IEP is different. If you have an IEP, it should be based on your own needs and goals as a student. IEP Coordinator. The IEP Coordinator is the person at your school who keeps each student's IEP up to date, plans meetings with family and staff, and supports and advocates for students with disabilities. Educational evaluation is an assessment, usually done by special education teacher, looks at academic skills, compares to other students the same age, and looks at reading, writing, math, and talking. A psychological report is a report on cognitive, mental, emotional, and behavioral well-being, done by the school psychologist. These are important kinds of documentation. DSM-V. The DSM-V is a tool psychologists use to find out what disability a person has. DSM-V, or DSM-5, is short for the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 5th edition. It is the official manual of the American Psychiatric Association, used to classify and diagnose mental, emotional, and physical disorders. Usually, a person's disability will be given a classification based on the guidelines for diagnosis in the DSM-V. Stigma. A stigma is a bad feeling some people have about other people due to their traits. One example of such a trait is a disability. Sadly, some people face stigmas due to their disabilities. Stigmas are often due to lack of knowledge or stereotypes. This is why it is so important to be able to explain a disability clearly to others. Assessment and Accommodations Self-Test. Drag the term to its definition on the left. Great work! These terms are important for any self-advocate to understand, especially when communicating your disability to others.
Great! Now that you've mastered some new vocabulary, I want you to meet my friend, Mr. Drake. He's going to walk you through some ways to identify and gather useful resources.
Hi, I'm Mr. Drake. In order to ask for accommodations, you must know more about your disability. One place to learn more is on the internet. You cannot trust all the information on the internet. One way to find out if a website has good information is to use a website reliability test. Use this website reliability test by clicking on the above link. A new web browser will open. Use this tool to check to see if a website has good information about disability. Return here when you have finished. If you need help using the website reliability test, please ask your support person for help. It is also good to find people to support you. They can help you find disability documentation and other supports. Click the button to print this screen, or, if you don't have a printer, take a screenshot of the screen and save it. And of course, it's good to have copies of all the right documentation of your disability. Use this checklist to identify all the pieces of documentation necessary. Then, identify which ones you still need to get. If you need help using the documentation checklist, please ask your support person for help. Which documents are you missing? Type your responses here. Below, write a summary about your disability. In it, the disability should be defined, the characteristics listed, treatments mentioned, the impact on learning and other life activities emphasized, and accommodations suggested. Have another person read the summary, checking for grammar and spelling errors. Click here to view an example. Here is what you wrote. Click the button to print this screen, or, if you don't have a printer, take a screenshot of the screen and save it.
Great work! You're almost done with Chapter 2 of Becoming a Self-Advocate. The next couple of slides will help you review the concepts from this chapter before you move on. And of course, you can return to this chapter at any time if you want to review again. Keep up the great work. Assessment and Accommodations. Review of terms. Drag the term on the right to its definition on the left. Great work! These terms are important for any self-advocate to understand, especially when communicating your disability to others. Which of the following pieces of documentation do you already have copies of? Check all that apply. Psychological evaluation, individualized education plan, individualized plan of employment, DVR assessment, summary of performance, educational evaluation. Please complete an end of the chapter survey. Click Next to access it.